So let's get started. Enough of me talking and sharing everything with you guys. I would absolutely love to introduce our first guest. So with this event, as I mentioned, I'm going to be sharing with you some groundbreaking tools that you can start to use immediately to start feeling and seeing a difference in your body and your health. And what I want you guys to really take note of right now is that the choices you make today, the choices you are making today in this moment, are going to impact how you feel tomorrow. It is going to impact how you feel 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. These conditions we are dealing with when we hit 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a lot of illnesses that we feel is come on when we are older, actually start to develop when you are in your 20s. So don't think that you are too young to get sick. Don't think that you are too young to get a diagnosis. And the first guest that we are bringing on, I'm so excited to start off with this, because we are going to be jumping into something that is at the root of 99% of all chronic and autoimmune conditions. So before I give it all away, let me introduce today's first guest, Kirsten Pierce. Kirsten, hi and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for Hack Your Biology, where we are discussing how to uncover your genetic makeup and rebalance your body at a cellular level so that you can live life at your full potential. Isn't that exciting?
It's fantastic, Steph, and it is a great privilege to be here with you today. I know you're as passionate about impacting people's lives in a dramatic way as what I am, and so this is just what a remarkable way to kick off what is going to be an amazing event.
It really is, and I'm so blessed that you were able to join us. Kirsten is where are you sitting at the moment? Share with the audience where you're coming to.
So right now I'm in a place called Hilversum in the Netherlands, out of Amsterdam for the day, but a beautiful day in Amsterdam, or in the Netherlands rather, but beaming to people, it seems like all across the world. So very, very exciting.
We are. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Welcome all the way from Europe. So I'm just going to jump in, read a bit of your bio, and then we can get started.
Fantastic. Let's go.
Awesome. So having been in the health and wellness industry for close to 2 decades with a specific passion for pharmaconutrition, Kirsten has always prided himself on staying on the cutting edge of developing mega trends in the fast-moving space. In this pursuit, it's that pursuit that led to Kirsten partnering with a Scandinavian health and wellness company called Zinzina. With Zinzina's best-in-class pharmaco-nutritional products and test method, they have simply removed the guesswork from how to live a healthier way of life. In his career, Kirsten has spoken to tens of thousands of people across 5 different continents, sharing his passion for improving people's state of wellness. Kirsten, one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you on the show is, like I said earlier, one of the root causes, or at the source of so many chronic and autoimmune conditions, is something that I'm sure we've all heard about, and that is inflammation. Inflammation is widely known as the silent killer, because we can have these either low levels or high levels of inflammation systemically throughout the whole body and not even realize that it's there. We don't realize that it's actually like what your levels are. And this can cause incredible disruption within the body. Now, I know you do a lot of work through Zinzina on helping to combat inflammation. And that's really why I wanted you to come on today and give us some insight into how we can go about looking at this, because I don't care who you are. You are dealing with, majority of people in the Western world today are dealing with levels of inflammation that are higher than normal. And the thing is, it may start at a certain level, and when left untreated, that is going to develop into different symptoms, and unfortunately for a lot of people, develop eventually into chronic and autoimmune disease. And that's what we are trying to avoid. So over to you. Please share with us a little bit.
Well, let's take a step back there, because inflammation is one of these things that we kind of throw out there, and I think a lot of people that I chat to they kind of understand inflammation, but most of them, their brains run towards acute inflammation. So gone to the gym, worked out, feel the pain, and they kind of that's what they assign. So when they kind of have that thought process, they don't think about what inflammation really is, because they think, if I'm not feeling inflamed, then surely I'm not inflamed. So maybe I'm one of those people that's not dealing with inflammation. And then Scientific American releases this amazing article, and very paraphrased, they say this: the underlying cause of every major degenerative disease in the human body is chronic, but they add this interesting word, silent inflammation. And now we start to see, okay, well, wait a second, there's something a little bit different here. And this is the metric. In your body, you've got an on switch and an off switch for inflammation, and inflammation is good. So inflammation by itself is not a bad thing. Your body needs it. There's something wrong in the body. What happens is the markers for inflammation are switched on, and then the body sends the ability for itself to be repaired and restored and refreshed, and then the mechanism is switched off. The challenge is when the mechanism is switched on and you have this inflammatory response happening, and you're in what they term the inflamma zone, then it doesn't switch off, and so you stay in the state of inflammation. What happens is when you live in that cycle of chronic silent inflammation, the silent part, meaning you don't really even know what's happening, it's underlying, it's not even symptomatic in a large majority of cases, and you live in the state of inflammation. Now, if you are in that space, what happens is we start to see a huge amount of knock-on effects. And the best way I can explain it for people who really haven't experienced or read much up about this is, it's kind of like running your car on the red line all the time. It'll work for a little while, but eventually pieces of the infrastructure that make that vehicle move are going to start to break down. And it may not end in a big explosion right up front, but as those little things start to pull apart, what happens eventually, you will have a catastrophic failure. There's just no ways you can continue to move forward like that. So, when people said to me, where do we start? My first question is, have you dealt with your inflammatory response first? How are you dealing with chronic inflammation in your body? And for most people, they don't even know where to start. So I think the best thing for me to do is kind of take you through a little bit of a thought process in terms of how we look at inflammation and what the number one simplest way is to be able to address. So I know you've got an amazing team, and they know that I'm going to put something up on the slide. So I'm just going to click on share my screen, and oh my goodness, to your team, you guys are absolute rock stars. Steph, this has been an absolutely well put together event. I must say, one of the easier ones that I've been prepped for. But what I want to chat about is just some of the concepts, and I think this will translate well into the rest of the speakers as you go through this event. But we have to realize there's been a major change in the way that we're evaluating things as humans. People are sick and tired of what we call guess-based nutrition, and they're moving towards test-based nutrition. So we have to realize that there is a global mega trend building around test-based nutrition. And when we see how people are evaluating themselves across the planet, we can see how many more people are engaging with supplementation, and how many more people want to know what their supplements are doing in their body, how many people are moving through getting genetic testing, going through testing protocols and making it a part of what they're doing. The challenge is
sorry, I'm just going to jump in there for a second.
Please.
There's so much information overload out there, and it's, what do I do? Do I take this supplement, this diet, that diet? And it's this guessing game, and we are wasting so much time and so much money. And I think a lot of people, or at least I can speak for myself, if I look at what I was going through in the past before I took this approach, I was tired of trying really hard to make the right choices, but not getting the results that I wanted, because I was doing the wrong thing unknowingly for my body, because as you said, it was guessing based, not testing based. So the moment we can actually jump into testing with, various different tests that we're going to talk about, you take the guesswork out of it, you're saving yourself time, you're saving yourself money. And besides that, you are gaining so much life, because you are feeling better in the shortest amount of time. It's like maximum results, minimum effort.
That's it exactly. The best analogy I've heard around test-based nutrition is, it's kind of like having the answer sheet to the questions that you have in front of you. You can go straight to where you need to go instead of trying to figure out what the different options are. And for the large majority of people, 99% of the options they have in front of them are not going to work in their bodies because there is no clinical validation for those things working. So we have to get back to an understanding of what can we prove, what can we test, and what can we evaluate. If we can't go through that process, it is just guessing. And isn't it great to be part of the kind of human pinnacle that is at that point where we can be so very specific around how we evaluate what is good for our bodies now? I mean, our parents didn't have this opportunity years ago. If you had told them that we could do the myriad of tests that we have access to ourselves now, they would have thought it would have been science fiction. But now we live in a space where you can't be ignorant anymore. You actually have the ability to be able to evaluate where you are.
Definitely.
So, you know, when we take a look at those things, I mean, we don't have to bridge the fundamentals, but it's always good to mention this. And just saw some of the comments as we were getting it. We all want to feel good and stay fit and be healthy. And at the same time, we see health challenges across the planet are increasing. And a lot of people are starting to ask the question, why? And fundamentally, I believe it boils back down to one of the fundamental keystones of what I term wellness, not medicine. But this is the father of modern pharmacology who said, let your food be your medicine, let your medicine be your food. And what he spoke about, Hippocrates, so many years ago, was the fact that we used to eat this well-rounded nutritional stack. And I use that very specifically as a phrase because, well, that's what we used to eat. Although we used to call it, you know, Mother Nature's bounty and all these kinds of great phrases, we haven't eaten foods that are this nutritionally dense since the Victorian era. The second that the Victorian era ended and we went into this mass industrialization, what happened is instead of eating foods that came from Mother Nature, we started to eat foods that were made in plants. And so we've got these heavy calories with very little nutritional value in them. And the specific part that I want to focus on today, because this is the key that we do as a company, is we take a look at omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and balancing in the human body. And for a lot of people out there, we know we should all take an omega-3 on a daily basis, but we don't actually know why. And here is why. Fundamentally, our DNA is coded to work at 1-to-1. So when your body is assembled and put together from the very first cell that starts to come together, it functions at a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, what happens is as we kind of grow into fully grown humans and we start to expend ourselves in life, what we've noticed as we've done a lot of research into this is that we can get away with being at 3-to-1. That seems to be the optimal point for our bodies to function at. If you get to 2-to-1, better. If you get 1-to-1, fantastic. But if you're at 3-to-1, you're really in the sweet spot. But around about the 1960s, we started to see a real big turning point. We started to see people shifting out of this balance because of all of the changes to diets and all these kinds of things becoming a lot more available. And now we find ourselves where in the EU, which is where I come from, there's an average of 25-to-1. And if you're like me and you've been coded because we have traffic lights and we call them robots in South Africa, you'll know green is good, orange is, you know, danger, and red means bad. It's really bad at 15-to-1. Now in the United States, for those of you tuning in from the US, 25-to-1 is the average. In South Africa, 26-to-1 is the average. We start to see these amazing moves across the planet. The reality is if you're sitting here as an adult at 15 or 25-to-1, your kids are probably 25 or 35-to-1 because they just eat remarkably more terribly than what we do. Now, there are consequences to omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance, and this is what most people are unaware of. It's every major mechanism in your body because it has such a dramatic impact on what we term chronic silent inflammation. And just from a cellular level, and let's just break it down to the building blocks of every part of our body. If have the right balance for omega-6 to omega-3, you have an unhealthy and imbalanced function in your cells. Hard, rigid cellular membranes, you don't have nutrition being absorbed easily, you don't have waste products being jettisoned easily, and so you sit with this toxic, chronic, inflammatory bloat in the cells. And that knock-on effect of cells affect your tissues, and your tissues affect your organs and your muscles and your bones affect how your body functions. And so the micro to macro effects of unhealthy cells is, well, unhealthy cells and healthy body, healthy cells, healthy body. And all you need to do to get your cells functioning effectively in this context is just get your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in balance and you have normal function. Now, all of a sudden, you've got nutrition being absorbed easily and you've got waste products coming out easily. So when I see people battling with absorption of nutrition and they're battling to see their body shift, I ask the question, well, how are your cells? How do you know if that cell membrane fluidity is in a good place? Are you absorbing things properly? And most people don't even know what you're talking about. So it's when we talk about 06 to 03 ratios, it's not just about, old people or young people, it's every single phase of life. From the second that you're looking to conceive a child, that first point of conception, the sperm cell and the egg cell coming together, omega plays a role in that. Every developmental stage of the fetus, omega plays a role in that. There is a clinical study that was done just a year and a half ago in the Netherlands that shows if a mom is in balance, omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in her body, prior to giving birth, she will have zero onset of postpartum depression. It is extraordinary to see how many things omega-6 to omega-3 ratio imbalance in the body affects. So when I sit down with people and practitioners and doctors and scientists and these amazing physicians across the world, I bring them down to the fact that every major fundamental process in the body is affected by this balance. So the question that we ask, and this is the one that I know that you like most, Steph, is, are you in the danger zone? And when we say danger zone, I'm going to ask you this question. Are you in the ratio that you want? Or are you in a place where you have chronic silent inflammation in your body? And this is kind of what you need to understand about the link between omega ratio and chronic silent inflammation. We spoke about the on switches of the inflammatory response and the off switches. Now, for those of you, if you are medically trained, that's an extreme oversimplification. But essentially, it's omega-6, which we have in abundance in our diet, that switches on the inflammatory response. And we get a lot of that in all of the vegetable oils and the breads and all the things that we eat that are really easy to make, because 06, all of these oils are very cheap and easy to use. 03, good quality 03, is the off switch. So now I've spoken about the fact that we've already got, a lot of 06 in our diets. Most people, and I would say 97% of people on the planet, and I'll qualify that statement later, 97% don't get anywhere near enough omega-3. So now we can start to see why globally. Yeah.
Sorry, if you don't mind, I'm just going to interrupt there for
Please.
a second. I will contribute to what you're saying on how we get so many omega-6s in the diet and not enough high quality omega-3s. And what I want people to realize as well is, once we create this awareness, it's fantastic to look at saying, okay, well, what omega-6s, how can I minimize that, and how can I put, more high quality omega-3s in? But there's a lot of sort of damage that has been done, or buildup that has been done of these omega-6s. And I've seen this in my own experience. A few years ago, I got tested to check my omega levels. And just to put this into context, at the time, I was not drinking. I was no longer a smoker, because I used to be a smoker for many years. I had gone completely plant-based. I'd been vegetarian for about a year and a half, and then I'd switched over to plant-based. And I had my levels checked. And I was sitting at 35-1. Which was crazy. Now, this is for me at the time, who I thought was living a very healthy lifestyle. I was taking a very high quality omega-3 supplement, which is not cheap. And I was taking it probably for about 7 months every day. And I didn't have a lot of omega-6s in my diet in terms of oils and things like that. Wasn't eating a bunch of processed foods, and my levels were still so high. So, there's a lot of or build up that we need to look at getting rid of as well. I just wanted to add that in there, that we taking these oils and things are important, but there's a lot of damage that we need to kind of look at undoing as well.
You're spot on. And my story is the same as yours. You'll see on one of the next slides, I'm going to mirror what you just said identically. But the thing here is that for a lot of people, they battle with this idea. And here's 2 pictures I want to give you. I want you to picture a really big vessel like this. Sorry, I know it's blurring out. And then I want you to picture one. I'm going to hold it back a little bit smaller. Our 06 tank is huge in our bodies, and we get more than enough of what we need. Actually, we have excess. Our body gets rid of most of what we need. We need very little omega-3 in comparison to the omega-6 to be able to work in balance, 3-1 in ratio. But we're already so full on our omega-6 tank, most people are using very, very little, and they'll find themselves in the same case that you are. And this is why we ask the question, well, would you like to take a test to find out where you are? So what Zinzina has brought to market essentially is a DBS or dry blood spot test that you can do anywhere in the world that will give you not only your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, but it's going to give you some other results which are very important. The actual percentage of omega-3 in your blood. Now, if you followed any of the data or science with Dr. Harris in the United States, he showed that you can reduce dramatically by more than 90% your chances of cardiovascular disease if you get your ratio of O3 in your blood above 9%. You go to 10, 11, 12%, it dramatically shelves off after that point, to the point where they're predicting that there could be even zero chance of cardiovascular disease. So we're going to show you that ratio. We're also going to give you an idea of what your actual cell membrane fluidity looks like. So we look at the cells, how fluid are they? Are they absorbing nutrition? Are they jettisoning the toxicity? We're going to take a look at arachidonic acid. What level is it in your blood? How is it looking? We're going to start to take a look at things like mental strength index and cell protection factor. These are unique IPs to us as a company. So what we've bundled together is 6 different things that give you a great look at the value of your lipid value in your body, but for the price of about half of what you'd pay with most other testing for wet blood facilities across the world that do an omega test. And that's the interesting thing. But our test is simple. It's a lance. You prick the bottom of your ring finger. You drip 2 drops of blood into a sample card, allow it to dry. The reason we use DBS over wet bloods is it gives us a 120-day view on your body as opposed to just a very isolated view. Very interesting science behind that. And we send those results off to one lab in the world. We don't use multiple contract labs, because this is the top dry blood spot testing facility on the planet. Their gold standard is about a 1.3% variance. Their maximum allowable tolerance is about 3.4%, which is extraordinary, because most labs doing wets will oscillate at about 30%. So we want the most accurate results, but the reason that we get the most accurate results is because this is a specialty lab. This is what they do, and you can see by the list of their customers across the planet why they're as good as what they are. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put you into essentially what is the largest crowd-funded research study in the world. As an entity, Zinzino has the largest database of omega-6 to omega-3 ratio on the planet. We've done more than 820,000 specialized tests that show us one thing: the world is out of balance. You see, no matter where you are, globally, 97% of people are not in balance. Africa, 99% out of balance. The United States, 99%. Europe, who has the best diet out of the large majority of the modern world, 95% out of balance. It is a pandemic. And when we take a look at that, and you now have a starting point, what we need is a solution. So the starting point for me is simple. It gives you the ability to be able to identify there's a challenge. But now, here's what I want to say to you. We as a company don't want you wasting your money on our test if you don't need it. So we indemnify our test with a full refund if you test in balance. So if you come back at 3 to 1 or better, we will refund your entire test cost, which I think is pretty remarkable. Now, we know marketing-wise, there's a 97% chance you're not going to be there. But if you're a 3%er, well, just know that you can do this test and get all of that other data and result for free, simply because you're in balance already. So we're going to find out your personal test results. And like I got mine, 27.81, same story as Steph. I am on and consuming 9,000 milligrams a day of the best omega known to mankind. My wife is nutritionally trained. We eat well, we train well, we live well. We are the picture of wellness, and my results were shocking. And here's where we get cocky as a company. We know that we can bring you back into balance in 120 days. 95% of people who use Zinzino's test-based nutritional solution will find themselves back in balance in just 120 days, which is extraordinary. Now, friends, let me point out very importantly, this is not the solution. This is part of the solution. We're part of the wagon wheel of wellness, but I can tell you that we do this better than anybody. And as you start to take a look at addressing chronic inflammation, now you start to add some of the other wagon wheels as you deal with the very specifics of the challenges that you're facing, you'll start to see extraordinary results. So I don't want to get into this for time, but we have these amazing physicians that have come on board, from our product formulation to the head of our scientific advisory board, to Dr. Angela Rizzo, the head of understanding the biochemistry of lipids internationally at Milan University, who designed our test. But they put this together, and this is the piece de resistance, if I have to, put a kind of a pin into what is most important. We test, you know where you are, and then we're going to get you into balance with this. This is our balance oil. And it's not just a fish oil. It's so much more than that. You see, we do have high grade, pure omega-3 that gives you your EPA, your DHA, your DPA, and it's from small wild caught, sustainably caught fish. And these are, it's amazing. The whole process is they were Friends of the Sea certified. But what we did, and I really want everyone to focus on this piece, is we put back into nature, or put back into the bottle, what this has in nature. And what I mean by that is we put together something called polyphenols into our fish oil. So it's the synergistic formula: 40% pre-harvested premium extra virgin olive oil, 60% fish oil, and this is what it is. It gives you two very important things. You see, polyphenols are found in fish. So when you look at the science and the data points, we see this. You eat good, healthy, fatty fish, and you don't have an imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3. If you take an omega-3 supplement, if it's not ours, you're probably going to find you're out of balance. That's just the reality. Why? The missing component is these polyphenols, because polyphenols work with the fish oil, and they have three synergistic responses. Number one, it keeps it fresh. It's an antioxidant. So our balance oil is more than double the ability of staying viable outside in exposure to all of the elements. I mean, krill oil, 5 hours, it'll stay fresh. Concentrated omega is 9 hours, 15 hours for cod liver oil. You can't compare what happens when you bolt together our raw fish oil together with the polyphenols. Secondly, it works as a delivery mechanism. We're actually going to help get those molecules of omega into the bloodstream. And then what we're going to do is have all of these leftover antioxidant elements that come from the olive source, and your body can use them and apply them. And when you look at the serum RX testing on polyphenols in human blood, it is extraordinary. So our balance oil is this amazing fish oil blend that has these polyphenols. And this is not just an olive oil you could buy at your local supermarket and mix it with omega-3, right? This is high grade, high level, pre-harvested. We harvest them in Spain. It's a remarkable process. But what we have here is the ability to get you back into balance. You get vitamin E and tocopherols and tocotrienols from the olive oil too. And then we add some vitamin D3, which we all know these days, very good to have extra vitamin D3 in. But what you have is all of the certifications that you need and the cockiness that we can say we can get you back into balance. So our certifications are there, everything that you need to know about our technology. We have a vegan solution in our balance oil, a vegan supplement, which is extraordinary for anybody who is vegan or vegetarian orientated. We get the same results from our vegan oil as we do from our fish oil, which is unbelievable. No one believes me until they do the blood tests. And then we have a version called AquaX that will dilute into water if you do battle with the texture and your tactile defensive when it comes to oil. But here is the long and the short of it. EFSA will give us 18 approved clinical claims of what omega will do. The German government has a website where they list over 2,500 things specifically that omega-3 impacts in your physiology on a daily basis. All I want you to know is that there is a 95% chance, if you engage with Zinzino and Zinzino's balance test, go through the balance oil for 120 days and retest afterwards, that you'll be back in balance.
Wow.
For those
That's incredible in 120 days.
It's extraordinary. And 95%, Steph, I mean, 95% is a ridiculously high figure. But for what about the 5% left over? For those people, the large majority will be able to be brought into balance if they just increase their dose by about 10 or 15%. It's very minuscule. But now we're also talking some fundamentals here. We don't have a one size fits all. Our product actually doses according to body weight, which is scientifically and physiologically correct. But the long and the short of it is this: 120 days. But the tests, this is the piece I left out. Here's the sales piece. I'm sorry to have to do this right at the end. They're 100% anonymous. They're not linked to your name. They're not linked to anything specific about you. You don't even have to connect your first and your last test, which means the test results are 100% independent, audited, and validated and not connected to you. So you will know your data that you're receiving is untainted by any marketing or any sales people whatsoever. Because what we want is real results. The goal of Zinzina is to inspire change in life, to see people across the planet change the state of their wellness. And our goal is to do that with the Zinzina Balance Solutions. So, that's where we are. We're excited to be partnering with Steph and this amazing, program that she's running over the next couple of days. And friends, all I can encourage you to do is, if you're sitting there, we are in this nutritional journey as a family because we sat one day hoping desperately for a solution. When you start to pull these puzzle pieces together and you listen to what Steph has as she shares the opportunities as she moves through the program, take note, because what she has at her disposal are some things that could dramatically change the very quality and the way that you're living your life.
Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for your time in coming on and sharing this information with us. I can honestly say I have never come across anything else like the Zinzina Balance Oil to help bring your omega levels back into balance, that ratio, and in such a short period of time. And as you say, it's completely customized. The dosage is customized to you, and you've got that guarantee, which is like 95%, as you said, is within balance within 120 days. The results are just absolutely unbelievable. And when we know that inflammation is at the root of all your chronic and autoimmune conditions, and there's something in front of you that is going to help you combat that inflammation, it's like a no-brainer. It's an absolutely no-brainer. So share with us, Kirsten, do you have the link for, like, how can people go about getting their hands on this? And I know that you do deliver globally. It's available in all your major cities and countries. So tell us how the audience, people listening, can go about getting their hands on this.
Fantastic. Well, we've got two really cool bundles that we've put together specifically for you watching this event. And Steph will be able to pop a link up that you can go and take a look at it. And you're going to land on what we call our Balance Kit solution page. So you will find a couple of different things there. What I didn't mention is we have a capsule option, as well as the vegan option, as well as the fish oil option. It doesn't taste like fish oil, so don't worry about that. If you're worried about old, ugly tasting omegas that are going to burp for the rest of the day, that is omega, right? But it's because it's already going rancid. If you've got the polyphenols, it's fresh and you don't have all of that stuff. So you're going to land on a page where you will have the option to do or pre-purchase one of two options. You can do what we call our subscription option, which gives you the ability to purchase some product that gets you going up front. You get your first test within that bundle. And every second month after that, you'll be delivered 2 months worth of product for 6 months. So we want you to commit to being on the balance oil and doing 2 balance tests. Now, when you do that, you're going to get a very, very, very incentivized price. So it works out that your second test actually doesn't cost you anything, which is pretty remarkable. But we've taken it.
And do the 6 month subscription, right? That's where they'll get the second test free.
That's it. But then we've made it even better. What we've said is, if you don't want the hassle of a subscription, we have a prepay and save option. So what we will do is, in one shipment, we're going to ship you that entire subscription, your 2 tests and the oils that you would have got throughout that whole subscription bundle. Plus, we're going to give you free shipping, and we're going to give you an extra 300 ml bottle of balance oil. So it is extreme value. And you get that all right up front and delivered to your door at no cost. Now, those bundles are available. You can go and take a look. It'll auto-locate to the country that you're in. So you'll see your currency, you'll see your options. I will point out that we have the balance oil in every market that we're in. Some of the markets don't have the vegan, some of the markets don't have the capsules, but you will find the balance oil that I presented to you is in every market. And if there's anything that we can support or help with, or any questions, Steph, I'm happy to be a part of that process if there's any value that I can add. But all you have to do is click on the link. You'll land on the page, you do the purchasing and everything, it gets shipped directly to you. And we want to be a part of your process. Please share your stories with us. And we're not afraid. We've seen as bad as 106 to 1. We've seen 87 to 1. We've seen 94 to 1. I've seen an Olympic athlete at 105 to 1. We're not scared by big numbers, but what we're excited about is seeing how you can take the guesswork out of your nutritional journey with Zinzina's balance options.
Incredible. Kirsten, it's been so great to have you with us. Thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge. Just give me a sec. Fantastic. So I'm just reading in the chat there. I appreciate you spending your time and sharing your knowledge with us. And I mean, this product is incredible, guys. I want to encourage you to, in the chat, there is a link. Mandy's dropped a link for you. You can jump on there. As Kirsten says, it will auto-locate to your country. If for whatever reason it's in the wrong country, at the top left-hand corner of the screen, you will be able to choose your country there where you're located. And I want to highly encourage you to get your hands on the Balance Oil with 95% results. Like, it's an unbelievable number, as well as your money back guarantee. Like, it's a win-win situation. You've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. And this may be the one area, that one pillar. You may be eating well, you may be exercising like I was doing, like Kirsten mentioned he did. We were doing all the right things and still not feeling at our best, because our levels were still at 25, 35 to 1, which is insane. And this might just be that one area, that one pillar that was missing for you in order to really bring your body back into balance and start to see the results that you want to see. And the important thing for a lot of people to realize, and I will talk about this later in the program as well, a lot of people are dealing with like weight gain and not being able to lose the weight. And the problem is that a lot of the time your weight, your excess weight is not, it's not fat that we're carrying around. It's inflammation. It's inflammation in our cells. And when we can combat, when we can get that ratio back into balance and actually get rid of the inflammation, the weight just falls off, because it's like, you know, walking around feeling really puffy. It's not excess weight, it's inflammation. And as you mentioned, yes.
Let me give, this is great news. Most people, when they get that inflammatory response in balance, so we get the ratios and we'll drop 3 to 5 kgs of inflammatory bloat within about a week. It is, you just didn't really realize how much inflammation you're carrying out. That's an average. Some people will do more, some people do less, but 3 to 5 kgs is unbelievable shift. Absolutely like that.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, Kirsten, thank you so much. Again, guys, the link is in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free, write in the chat, email me. I can get anybody in touch with Kirsten if you needed some extra information. But I encourage you, go check out the link. This might just be the answer that you have been looking for. So Kirsten, once again, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to being in touch with you again soon.
Yeah, fantastic, Steph. Have a great rest of the event, and everybody, so great to be here with you. You guys, your minds are going to be blown. Just dive in. It's going to be remarkable. Thank you so much.